All right, folks. So let's go ahead and continue. Well, this time what we're going to be looking at is like testing and transferring and seeing like the reason why I want to transfer some FSMO roles. But I'm going to use the GUI, the graphical user interface. Then I'll show you the actual command line. So first, we're going to get into the actual transfer option. Let's go back to server one. Let me actually log on and see what's going on here. So I know when I do netdom, right? Let me run this command again, query FSMO. I can actually see that all the FSMO roles are actually on server one. And if I go to server two, right, what I could do is I could actually look at both at the same time if I wanted to, all right, just like this. And I'm going to look at server two. So same thing. Let me just do this so we can actually compare both of these. So I have server one and I have server two, as you see, right? So we got both of them. Yes, this looks good. Right? Oh, what happened? Right? Let's see. Let me look at a full screen again. Let me just try and reset it. Right? There we go. All right. So let me go ahead and log on to the server here. So I have server one and server two. And if I go to the command prompt and I do the netdom query FSMO, I could see that everything is actually pointing to server one. Let me just change the fonts here. It looks like the fonts are a little bit smaller, right? So let me make it 36 so they're actually the same. Let me run the command again. There we go. Now we're actually better. All right. Okay. Well, why would I need to transfer some of the roles? What's the purpose behind that? Well, I like to load balance the FSMA roles themselves. Let's say you have more than one. I mean, you have three, four domain controls. Instead of having everything on one, I could have some running on one, some running on two, some running on three. That's what I could actually do, right? So I could make things much easier in case one crashes, not everything goes away. I could load balance the FSMA roles from one server to another. Instead of having everything on one, I could just split the roles too. So it's better for performance, I would say so. Right? But I want to show you something here. Remember, the first two are per forest and the last three are per a domain. So let's say I'm actually on server one right now. What I'm going to do is the following. The PDC, for example, is pointing to server one, right? Look, I just want to show you. I could open tools and open, let's say, group policy management. This requires the PDC to be running for me to process policies. All right, so this is good. Now, the RID master is also running, which assigns unique numbers, which are the SIDs. Well, let me see something over here. I know that I showed you this command, who am I, space slash user, and I can see the actual SID, right? So the SID is something that I can actually see. Well, how about for users? Well, let me just create a test user. I'm going to be creating OUs and all that, but for now, I'm just going to create an actual user. I'm going to call this test one. Test one. Go next and put a password. I need to put a complex password. And let's verify the complexity over here. Go next and finish. Okay. Well, you know what I want to check? I want to check for the SID. What is the unique number that is assigned to this one over here? If I double click test one, I don't actually see all the tabs that I'm looking for. Remember, that's part of the schematic. Well, take a look at this. If I go to view and I choose advanced features, and then I go back to the users container and I double click test one, I would see more tabs, things that I don't actually need. So I'm going to go to the attribute editor. See this right over here. And I'm going to scroll down and look for object SID. So I could see the SID of this actual user account. And here's object SID. See that? That's a SID. Look, it's 1106. Just focus on the last four numbers. This comes from where, guys? The RID master. And who's the RID master right now? Server one. Okay, well, let me show you a good command line over here. dsa.msc. dsa for diagnostic space slash test colon rid manager space slash v for verbose mode. Okay, remember what was the actual SID that I was seeing is 1106. Okay, why am I saying that? Because look at this. If you just press enter, the rid master, what it does, it assigns a pool of SIDs to each domain controllers to make sure there's no conflicts in the SIDs. Let me scroll up. And there you go. Look, it starts at 1102. Do you see that? It starts at 1102, guys. To what number? The next one is to 11 to, let's see the number. Let me look at a full screen here. 1102 to what? Let's see. There you go. You can see the number to 1601. So that's why when I was looking at this account, the SID was actually from that range. It belongs to this range over here. You see that? So the red master is actually here, as you see. Well, what I want to do is the following. I want to transfer these roles to server two, and then I'm going to show you what's actually going to happen, right? So I'm going to do that from the graphical interface itself. Okay, that's what I'm going to do it from. So let me just minimize this. And what I could do is the one that I want to do it from is actually, let's say server one. If I right click on the domain and I choose operations masters, red PVC infrastructure. If I click on change, it doesn't work. I get an error message because I have to connect. See, the top option tells me who's holding the role. The bottom option tells me which domain controller am I connected to. So if I wanted to do it from this server, watch this. And this is connected, it should be connected to its own, which is server two. I right click on the domain and I choose operations master. Look, the top one tells me who's holding the role. Look at the bottom one, tells me which server I'm actually connected to. So instead of going to server two, I could actually connect to server two, right? Just like this. Then okay, all right. And if I right click on the domain and choose operations master, now the red I want to change. Now it's actually server two, the PDC. See, the bottom one is to server two. I want to change. And the infrastructure is also to server two. See that? And I'm going to go ahead and do the domain name master, which is from domains and trusts. Look, you cannot modify it. It's something is wrong because I did something. This is actually good. I may have to restart the actual computer in a moment, but it's going to take a while to sync. So I'm going to right click, change Active Directory domain controller connected to. So it took a while to sync. It's like, wow, this is actually good. It's already taken effect. Operations master, and I'm going to connect the server to. See that? And now it took effect. It just took like a second, as you see. And the schema master, remember the schema? So let me go to the MMC and file, add, remove snap-ins, and look at the Active Directory schema. Where is it? Did I run it on server one or two? It looks like I didn't run it on the server. So let me run it. Why not? We'll run the command again. reg svr32 schmmmgmt.dll. And there you go. It succeeded. Okay, so I'm going to open the console again. Look at this. File, add, remove, snap in, and right over here, Active Directory Schema. All right, it's in the list. Then, okay, now what I need to do is right click and change domain controller and connect to server two. All right. Then I did, it's not connected. Hold on, let me see. Let me get, it's on server two. All right, operations master and change. There you go. Transferred successfully. Well, let's take a look and see if I did everything right or not. Let me do the netdom query FSMO again. Now they're all pointing to server two, right? And if I do it from here, look at this. It's actually pointing to server two. So everything is pointing to server two. Now I transferred all the FSM roles to two, and you'll see why. Why did I actually do that? Because look at this. If I go back to server manager and I go to tools, I could still open group policy management, right? This is fine. But if I go ahead and create a user account right now, watch this, a user account under, let's say, the users container, and I say I want to create a user called test two. Test two. I just want to show you one of the roles. And let me put a password. All right. And remove this check mark from the box and finish. So if I double click test two and I go to the attribute editor and I scroll down and I look for object SID. All right. Where is it? Object SID right over here. Look at the number that I got 1603. Why? Well, first of all, you're connected to server two. Where's server two? Right over here. So if I type in dc diag diagnostic slash test colon red manager space slash v. Now, if I scroll up, it tells me what is the range of the SID over here. Let me look at a full screen so you guys can see. And let me maximize this. And look, it starts at 1602. So it came from another range. Remember, the first one came from the range of whatever's assigned to server one. This one came from whatever's assigned to server two. All right, that's nice. Okay, now let me just show you an example. I want to shut down server two. So I'm shutting down server two. I'm going to suspend it. It's like it crashed. Physical, everything is into server two. Am I going to have trouble? Let me just show you one trouble over here without the FSMO roles. All right, look, I want to go ahead and close. Remember, I was able to open group policies. Let me close this. Now, if I go to tools and open group policy management, look, it's trying to load. And guess what, guys? It's not going to load. Why? Because I need a specific role to run this, which is the PDC. And the PDC got transferred to server two, and server two crashed. So I can't even run policies. Nobody can log on to the domain. Nobody can do anything, by the way. This is big trouble. Look, I'm going to go ahead and start server two and show you how this will populate automatically right now. So I'm going to go to server two and play the virtual machine. Look, it's not able to do it. Yeah, this is good. The FSMO role is down. Okay, how about now? Let's see. Server 2 is up. So I'm going to say retry. Now it's going to open. Okay, it may take a few seconds because I just actually turned this actually on. So it needs to know that the service is actually running or not. Choose a different domain controller and click OK. It's going to take a while, right? So let me see. Yeah, this takes a while because I just actually started that. It was like, okay, are you sure? How about if I do it again? Policy management. Okay, retry. Okay, choose a different domain controller. Let's say any available domain controller and okay. Let's see. Yeah, as I said, it may take an actual while. Let's say this domain controller, this one, and okay, there you go. Eventually, after like a few seconds, a minute, it will come up. But do you see what the PDC was able to do to us, guys? This can be a problem. Well, I just did the transfer through the GUI. I want to show you the transfer through the command line in our next lecture. So we'll see you guys in a moment. All right, guys. Later then.